Have you ever felt like the more you try to explain yourself, the worse it gets? You speak the truth, but people twist your words. You stand up for what's right, but they call you dramatic. You stay honest, but somehow, the liars walk away clean. It's exhausting, isn't it? But what if I told you that the real power lies not in reacting, but in stepping back? Karma doesn't need your help. It works quietly and perfectly. But here's something the Stoics understood long ago: sometimes, the best defense is no defense at all. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." In other words, don't become what hurt you. Don't lower yourself to match their chaos. Because here's the truth: life has a way of balancing itself. What people send out, lies, hate, betrayal, does come back to them. You don't have to chase it. You just have to stop feeding it. Subscribe to Stoic Wise Path. Let's learn to let go, rise stronger, and protect our peace with the power of Stoic philosophy. So, imagine trying to clear muddy water with your hands. The more you stir, the cloudier it gets. But if you leave it still, the dirt settles on its own, and clarity returns. That's what silence is. It's stillness. It's wisdom. It's trusting that not every mess needs your hands to fix it. When you stop stirring drama, peace rises to the surface, and the truth becomes clear without you saying a word. Think of someone tossing dry leaves into a fire to provoke you. If you blow back in anger, the flames only rise higher. But if you stay still, no reaction, no response, the fire eventually burns out. That's how karma works. Your silence becomes the wind that refuses to feed their flames. Their own actions will burn through them, and you walk away untouched. So when do you let go? When do you stay silent and let karma handle what your words never could? Let's begin with the first sign. First, when someone betrays your trust, let's talk about one of the hardest punches life throws: betrayal. Whether it's a friend who exposes your secrets, a partner who walks away without warning, or someone you believed in who turned out to be a stranger in disguise, betrayal doesn't just hurt. It shakes your sense of trust, your sense of judgment, even your sense of self. Your first instinct: you want answers. You want justice. You want them to see what they did and feel the pain they caused. But here's the brutal truth: no amount of explanation will change someone who has already justified their betrayal in their mind. People who betray don't often feel guilty. They feel justified. They rewrite the story in their favor. And if you try to argue with them, they twist your words, flip the blame, and leave you feeling even more broken. This is where Stoic wisdom becomes your sword and your shield. Seneca once said, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." Betrayal. It's friction. It's a test. Not of them, but of you. Do you lower yourself to their level? Or do you rise above? Let me tell you a story. There's a man I know, let's call him Edwin. He started a business with a childhood friend. They dreamed big. Built together. Trusted each other with everything. But as the company began to grow, the friend started making side deals behind Edwin's back. Redirecting funds. Quietly pushing Edwin out. When Edwin discovered it, he was devastated. His first thought: legal action. Public exposure. But then he paused. Instead of reacting, he stepped back. He didn't threaten. He didn't fight. He walked away with his head held high, and started over, alone. It took time. It took grit. But within 2 years, Edwin built a new company, bigger, stronger, grounded in integrity. And the old business? It collapsed under the weight of lies and greed. He never had to lift a finger in revenge. He let karma do what truth always does, correct what's broken. When facing betrayal, the first Stoic step is to accept that the mask has fallen. You haven't lost a friend or partner, you've uncovered the truth. That painful clarity is not a punishment, but a gift that frees you. The second principle is to resist the urge to explain the betrayal to the betrayer. They already know what they did, and no amount of reasoning will reach a heart that's convinced itself it was right. Finally, walk away with dignity, no dramatic exits, no emotional breakdowns. Just quiet, unshakable confidence. Your silence, in this case, speaks louder than any confrontation ever could. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus wisely said, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Number 2, when someone lies about you, one of the hardest pills to swallow is hearing lies being told about you. Maybe it's at work, among friends, or even within your family. Your gut reaction is to speak up, to shout the truth, to fix your image. But here's the harsh truth: explaining yourself to people who already believe lies rarely changes anything. Why? Because they've already made up their minds, or worse, they enjoy the drama. Seneca once said, "A wise man is indifferent to praise and blame." That doesn't mean you let people walk all over you. It means you value your peace more than your reputation among fools. The more you react to their lies, the more real those lies become to others. It's better to be quietly truthful than loudly defensive. Because truth doesn't need an army, it needs patience. And here's your reminder: you don't owe anyone a reaction. Your peace is not up for public debate. Let's be honest, some people don't care about truth. They care about attention, control, reaction. When someone spreads lies about you, it's rarely about facts, it's about shaking your balance. They don't want the truth. They want you, angry, defensive, spiraling, because the moment you start explaining yourself, you've already lost. They've succeeded in dragging you into their game. A game where silence looks like guilt and reaction looks like weakness. But that's the illusion. That's the trap. And this is where Stoicism gives you real power. Marcus Aurelius said, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." In other words, your peace lies in your integrity, not in other people's opinions. Let them talk. Let them twist stories. Your job: stay upright. Keep doing the right thing, quietly, steadily. Because the truth doesn't panic. The truth doesn't chase people down hallways screaming, believe me. It just stands. Like a mountain. Still, unmoved, until time erodes the lies around it. Let me give you a real-world example. There's a woman I once met, let's call her Emily. A talented artist. Kind, introverted. But when jealousy crept into her circle, someone started spreading rumors that she was copying work, stealing ideas. Friends backed away. Galleries pulled interest. It felt like everything was crumbling. her instinct, to defend herself to everyone, to prove the lies wrong. But instead, she chose something else. She went quiet. She created. She built her next collection in silence, stronger, more original than ever. 6 months later, a well-known art critic called her a visionary. And the person who started the rumors, caught doing exactly what they accused her of. Emily didn't expose them. She didn't need to. She let her work speak. She let karma work. And because she didn't engage in the mud, she never got dirty. So how do you handle lies when they come your way? First, step back from the emotional fire. Every reaction you give only adds fuel to the flames. Instead, respond with silence, because silence is water. It cools the chaos and starves the drama. Second, stay grounded in your principles. Don't let false accusations or gossip pull you out of character. The more you stay true to who you are, the more their lies begin to look like what they are, empty noise. And finally, trust the long game. Truth doesn't rush, it takes its time, but it always shows up. Lies may spread quickly, but truth is what endures. As Seneca once said, time discovers truth. So when people lie about you, pause. Breathe. Then keep walking your path with honor. Because the lie may win attention, but the truth will always win the war. If this message hit home, let me know in the comments. Have you ever chosen silence over defense? Subscribe to Stoic Wise Path and take the first step toward real emotional freedom. Number 3, when someone insults you, rise, don't react. We've all been there. Someone throws a sly jab, a sarcastic comment, or a cutting insult designed to hit where it hurts. And the instinct? To fire back. To defend. To prove them wrong. But let's pause for a second. What if that reaction is exactly what they want? Insults are rarely about truth. They're about control. A test. An emotional trap. The moment you react with anger, defensiveness, or frustration, you've handed them the remote to your emotions. This is where Stoic philosophy becomes your armor. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." That's not just poetic, it's strategic. It means that the true win isn't in retaliating, but in refusing to stoop to their level. Because the moment you mirror their disrespect, you give their insult validation. But when you remain calm, collected, and grounded in your self-worth, you rob their words of power. Let's look at an example. There was a young architect, let's call her Mia, who had just led a successful project at her firm. At a celebratory meeting, a senior colleague, feeling overshadowed, remarked with a smug grin, "Wow, who knew luck could build a skyscraper?" A cheap insult in front of a room full of peers. But Mia didn't flinch. She smiled, sipped her water, and said nothing. Not even a glance of irritation. The air grew heavy around the insulter, who suddenly seemed small in comparison. That's presence. That's power. Because silence is unnerving to those who expect drama. When it comes to insults, the Stoics offer a powerful mindset shift. First, recognize the source. Most insults are born from someone else's pain, jealousy, or insecurity. It's rarely about you. Then, detach from your ego. As Epictetus wisely said, if someone succeeds in provoking you, realize that your mind is complicit. In other words, your reaction gives them power. True strength lies in choosing calm over chaos, silence over shouting. The loudest person in the room is rarely the strongest, the one who remains grounded is. Picture a mountain in a storm, winds may rage, but it stands firm. That's your goal. So the next time someone tries to provoke you, ask yourself, are they worth your peace? Your growth? If not, do what the Stoics would, walk through the fire without flinching, and let your dignity speak louder than any insult ever could. If this spoke to you, hit that like button and subscribe to Stoic Wise Path. We're just getting started. More ancient wisdom, real stories, and powerful mindset tools are coming your way. Number 4, when they play the victim, let silence be your strength. Few things test your patience like someone who plays the victim. You know the type, they rewrite the story, leaving out the parts where they hurt you. Suddenly, you're the villain in a drama they scripted. They cry at the right time, say all the right things, and gather sympathy while you're left wondering how truth turned into fiction. The more you try to explain, the deeper you sink into their trap. But here's the Stoic truth, some people don't want peace. They want power through pity. They're not looking for resolution, they're performing. Their goal is to be seen, not understood. And your attempts to clarify, it only feeds their narrative. Epictetus said, to complain is always non-productive and never appropriate. In other words, don't waste your voice where truth is unwelcome. Let me share a different story. There was a small startup team. A man named Elijah was known for being dependable, focused, and fair. One day, a teammate, let's call him Craig, missed a deadline. Instead of owning up to it, Craig began spreading whispers, Elijah overworks everyone. He's controlling. He doesn't respect boundaries. Soon, the narrative shifted. Elijah felt pressure to defend himself, to prove he wasn't the villain Craig painted. But then, he paused. He remembered something his father had taught him, when you wrestle with pigs, you both get dirty, but the pig likes it. So Elijah stepped back. No emails. No defense. Just calm, consistent professionalism. And slowly, the cracks in Craig's story began to show. He played the victim once, then again, and again. Eventually, others started asking, why is it always someone else's fault with him? Elijah didn't expose him, Craig's own patterns did. So what do you do when someone twists the truth and plays the victim? 1. Don't take the bait. Their drama feeds on your reaction. Refuse to give it oxygen. 2. Stay grounded. Be consistent. Calm, composed. Let your actions speak. 3. Let time and truth walk hand in hand. As the Stoics believed, reality always rises to the surface, like oil above water. Because here's the real power, when you remain silent, you're not weak, you're wise. You're not surrendering, you're stepping out of the game. And eventually, the one shouting the loudest starts to look the most suspicious. As Marcus Aurelius once said, the best revenge is not to be like your enemy. So let them spin their story. Let them play their role. You keep walking in truth. Because the truth doesn't need defense, it just needs time. If you've ever dealt with someone like this, share your story in the comments. And if this Stoic mindset resonates with you, hit that like button and subscribe to Stoic Wise Path for more ancient strategies to live stronger, clearer, and freer. Number 5. When they ignore your worth, let silence be your mirror. There's a unique kind of pain that comes from being undervalued. You give your time, your kindness, your loyalty. You show up when others don't. You listen, support, and stand by people through storms. But instead of gratitude, you get indifference. Instead of mutual respect, you're met with silence, or worse, taken for granted. And naturally, you want to prove yourself. You want them to see it, to finally recognize your worth. You want to say, "Look at everything I do for you." But here's the Stoic truth: the moment you start begging for recognition, you've already given away your power. The more you chase, the more invisible you become. Because people don't treasure what they believe they can keep forever. And they rarely value what's always available. That's where silence becomes your most powerful response. Seneca once said, "Time discovers truth." You don't need to explain your worth, you need to withdraw it. Not in anger, not in bitterness, but in quiet confidence. Because silence has a strange way of making people reflect. Let me give you a story that might sound familiar. There's a man I know, let's call him Jake. Jake was the reliable one. The one who always showed up. Remembered birthdays. Sent that "just checking in" message. Held others up even when no one asked how he was doing. But one day, he realized something painful: if he stopped calling, no one called him. If he stopped trying, the connection vanished. He wasn't being loved, he was being used. So Jake decided to do the simplest, most stoic thing: he stopped explaining. He stopped chasing. He stopped showing up where he wasn't seen. And you know what happened? The ones who genuinely valued him, they reached out. The rest? They disappeared. And that was his answer. No drama. Just clarity. So, how do you respond when someone ignores your worth? 1. Don't explain your value. It isn't a pitch. It's a presence. The right people will see it without being told. 2. Step back and observe. If your absence goes unnoticed, that's your sign. You were never seen in the first place. 3. Let time reveal what words can't. When you stop giving to people who only take, they're forced to face the truth of their own emptiness. As Marcus Aurelius said, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. That's your mission, to be grounded in your worth. Not in proving, but in simply being. Because sometimes, the most powerful message isn't a speech, it's your absence. If you've watched the video this far, don't forget to leave a comment with, "Thank God I heard this." Hit the like button if it gave you something to think about. And if you want to walk this stoic path together, through every betrayal, every silence, and every moment of growth, subscribe to Stoic Wise Path. We're building strength from within. Number 6. When they try to provoke you, master the art of stillness. One of the greatest strengths in life isn't how loud you speak, it's how calm you stay when the noise around you tries to shake you. Let's talk about a quiet superpower: not reacting. There will always be people who crave chaos. People who throw passive-aggressive jabs, stir drama, push buttons, and feed off your frustration. They don't want a solution. They want control over you. But here's the truth: the one who angers you, controls you. And that control, you can take it back, by doing nothing. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. You can't stop others from being who they are. But you can stop handing them the keys to your emotional world. Let me give you a real-world example. There's a man I know, Adam. At his workplace, there was always this one guy, snide, clever, always tossing little insults disguised as jokes during team meetings. At first, Adam reacted. He defended himself, argued back, tried to be the bigger person by explaining. But here's the twist, the more he reacted, the more it happened. Until one day, Adam stopped trying to win, and just started being. Next time the jab came, Adam smiled. No sarcasm. No sarcasm. Just silence and composure. And then he moved on. And what happened? Power shifted. The provoker lost interest. Why? Because drama without an audience dies quickly. This is what the Stoics trained for, emotional sovereignty. So, how do you handle those who try to provoke you? 1. See it for what it is, a trap. When someone constantly pokes at you, it's not personal. It's a pattern. Recognize it early. 2. Don't play their game. Your calm will irritate them far more than your anger ever could. 3. Master yourself. As Epictetus said, no man is free who is not master of himself. Your real victory isn't in proving them wrong. It's in staying centered while they spin in circles around their own drama. Because at the end of the day, the strongest person in the room isn't the one who shouts louder, it's the one who remains unbothered when everyone else is losing their cool. So the next time someone tries to provoke you, remember, you don't owe anyone a reaction. Let your stillness be your message. Let your peace be your power. Number 7, when they regret losing you, let silence be your reply. One of life's most powerful shifts happens the moment you stop begging to be seen, and start walking like you never needed their validation in the first place. Let's talk about a hard but liberating truth. When someone regrets losing you, it's already too late. If someone truly saw your value, they wouldn't have risked losing you just to realize it in your absence. But people don't always see gold while it's in their hands. It's only when it slips through their fingers that the sparkle becomes obvious. Seneca once said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." And that's exactly what regret feels like, an echo of what could have been, too late to change. The silence you leave behind after walking away is louder than any goodbye. No drama. No pleading. No closure emails. Just stillness, and that stillness, it teaches louder than any argument ever could. Let me share a real story. Olivia, a woman I know, was in a long relationship. She gave her heart, her time, her energy. Always there. Always supportive. Always trying. But her partner, he didn't see it. He got too comfortable. Assumed she'd always be there. Until one day, she simply stopped trying. No warnings. No breakdowns. No grand goodbye. She just left. And what happened? Weeks passed. Then months. And suddenly, he saw everything. The love. The loyalty. The effort. But by then, Olivia had already rebuilt her life. Quietly. Confidently. And his regret? It arrived right on time, but far too late. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Walking away with grace isn't weakness, it's wisdom. It's proof that your peace matters more than someone's delayed recognition. So how do you handle someone who regrets losing you? 1. Don't let regret reopen doors. If they needed your absence to see your value, they never truly saw you. 2. Say nothing. Silence allows them to sit with the consequences of their actions. Let them wonder. Let them feel the weight of your absence. 3. Stay gone. Real self-respect is not in walking away. It's in refusing to return to what broke you. Because here's the truth, your worth was never up for debate. And when someone doesn't recognize it, you don't lower it, you protect it. Like this video if it gave you clarity. And subscribe to Stoic Wise Path for more insights grounded in ancient wisdom, made for today's world. Because sometimes, the strongest statement you can make is to say nothing, and let the silence echo everything they missed.